Hey guys, today I'm going to switch things up a little bit. Usually I provide you with the SVG file and then show you how to make any needed modifications and how to put it together. But today you're actually going to be the designer because I'm going to show you how to design and assemble this shaker cake topper right in Cricut Design Space. But don't get scared and run now because I promise you can do it and you're going to be so proud when you're done. And although I am going to be making a graduation cake topper in this tutorial, you don't have to make this for a graduation. You can include your own text with this, so you can write happy birthday or congratulations or you go girl or whatever you want. So you can make the kind of cake topper that you need. And if you don't even want to make a cake topper, you can still follow along because you're going to learn a lot about creating designs in Cricut Design Space in this tutorial, so it'll still benefit you. Okay, so go ahead and open up a new canvas and a new project in Cricut Design Space. So I am making a star cake topper. Now if you want to make a heart, a circle, a square, a triangle, then you go ahead and do that. So all you're going to do is go to the shapes and you find the shape that you want to make your cake topper. And I'm going to go with this star shape right here. And we're just going to click on that. And I'm going to make this 8 inches wide. And as far as making cake toppers, there is no set size on how to make them. Generally, I make them maybe like if you have a round cake and maybe it's 10 inches, then maybe I'll make them about an inch or two smaller. So I'd make it about 8 inches or maybe even 9 inches. I do like to make them big. If you've got like a rectangle cake, then I usually make it a little bit smaller than the width of that cake. But generally, anywhere between 8 and 10 inches is a good size for cake toppers, unless you've got a really big cake. So I went ahead and changed the width of my star to 8. And so right here, I've already got the base of my cake topper. Now, for this one right here, I am going to be using a double-sided gold glitter cardstock, and it's a pretty thick cardstock. So that's going to be the base right here, and it's going to be really pretty because you're going to see this underneath the clear part, but you're also going to see it on the back because it's double-sided. Now, if you don't have a double-sided glitter that you're using, then you may, or if it's not very thick, then you may want to duplicate this layer and glue two together. So if my glitter that I was using wasn't double-sided, I'd probably duplicate this and cut out a black just to make the back of the star black instead of the white that's behind some glitter cardstock. But I'm not going to do that, so it's just up to you if you want to do that. And all you would do is just duplicate this layer. And then, well, you only have to duplicate it once. I apparently got happy doing that. And then you would just change the colors of these. But like I said, I'm just going to use one for the base. And this is going to be like a gold glitter. So just kind of make it kind of a gold color. Okay, so now I've got the base done. And the next thing that I need to do is I need to create a piece for the clear plastic that's going to go on top. And I'm actually using foam tape to assemble these. So we don't need to cut out anything for the middle part. And so I'm just going to duplicate this because you want that clear plastic to be the exact same size as your base. So easy so far, right? So I need to make this a different color though because I'm cutting it with a different material. So I'll just make this like a light gray. And I'm actually just going to line these up so you can kind of see how this is going to be assembled. And I can just click right here in my alignment. No, that one's my alignment. And center those so they're right on top of each other. So now we have our base and our clear plastic piece right here. And then in between those is going to be the foam tape that holds those together and gives that little bit of space that we can put the glitter and stuff in between. Okay, but now you are going to see the glue right here on this clear plastic. So I now want to create a piece that's going to go on top to cover that up. So I'm just going to duplicate this. Easy enough. And I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm just going to make this a different color. It doesn't matter the color because I'm just using it to cut out of this. Oops. So I'm just going to line this up on top. And what I want to do is I'm just trying to get a star outline that I can glue over top to cover up that glue. So it has like a nice pretty look. So I'm just going to make that smaller and we can just go in here and just center those together. And although that's centered, I feel like it could come down just a little bit, like the way the shape of the star is. And I almost feel like this could be a little bit thicker, so I'm actually going to go a little smaller on this. Now let's center. Oh, I'm having a hard time selecting them both together. Let's center. And I'm just going to drop this down a little bit because something just doesn't look right about that center. Okay, so this looks good to me. So I'm just going to select both of these layers now, and I'm going to go to combine, and we're going to subtract the front out. Okay, and I'm actually going to be using black for this. So I'm going to change this to black so I can see what everything is going to look like. And now this is going to glue right on top of that clear plastic. So it's going to hide any of the glue or the foam tape in between those. And now I just want to add like another thinner layer of this, of the gold, just to make it pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this layer again, a different star layer. We're just going to duplicate this again to get another star. And I'm going to duplicate this again, change the color of this just, you know, so we can see it. And I'm going to do the exact same thing that I just did, only I'm not going to cut quite as, like, I'm not going to make it quite as small. Okay, so I'm going to select both of these. We're going to center these. Oh, I keep clicking the wrong one. I'm going to drop this down just a hair. And we're going to subtract this just like we did before. And this piece is going to be gold, so I'm going to go back to the color I was using for my gold glitter and change it to that. And this one's going to go right on top of here. And I'm going to select all of these and just center them all together so we can see how it's going to look. So I'm just holding down Shift while I select all of these so I can select them together. We're going to center everything. So I want a little more of this black to see, so I think I made this gold a little too thick. So I'm just going to go right here in that star layer, and this is what's cool about the subtract instead of slice, is I can go in and I can edit this. So I can make this star just a little bit bigger. I'm going to make sure that looks centered to me, and then just click off of that. And so now we have a little bit more of that black showing. And I think I could actually, I think I want just a little more of the black showing. So I'm going to go back in here and click on that and just make it a little bit bigger. Just kind of modify it until I like how this looks. And I can even go in and modify the black and make that larger if this is not working for me. But I do want to keep a lot of it open to leave room to see all that glitter. Okay, so I really actually like that. That looks really good. I'm happy with that. And so right now we have the whole base of our Shake Your Cake topper done. We've got it, it's looking pretty, it's going to be functional, but now all we need is it to say something. So just go to your text right here, and right now I'm going to write class of, and again you can write anything you want, and I'm going to make this a pretty script font. So I'm going to go in system right here so I can find what's on my system. And let's see, I know of a good one, I think. If you know of what you want to use, you can just start typing that in here. It's quicker. What I'm going to be using, it's called Falling Star Script. In case you want to use the same one, you can probably Google that. And I'm sure you can find a free download for this. Usually the downloads are free for personal use though, so make sure to pay attention to whatever licensing it does have. And now I am going to add the year, and of course you can make this any year, so it doesn't have to be 2023, but I want this to kind of be a bolder, kind of a bold font, so I'm going to use, let me type this in, I'm going to be using what is called Franklin Gothic Heavy, and this is a pretty standard font, so you may have that font already on your computer. If not, then you can just Google Franklin Gothic Heavy font, or just Franklin Gothic font too, and you'll probably find it. Alright, so now it's just a matter of kind of lining these up and getting them to look the way you want them to look. So I'm going to kind of, I think I kind of want to stretch these down a little, so I'm going to take the proportions off so I can just kind of stretch, oops, Wrong way, you click in the corner. To stretch. Oh, I gotta take those proportions off again. Those little middle ones fool me. You always have to resize in the corners. Okay. So I want to make this a little bigger right here. So that of, you can kind of see that of. And I'm actually going to ungroup these. So I want to stretch each one out a little bit. So I'm just going to make each one just a little bit thicker. I'm actually just going to copy the size of that one so I can make this one the exact width that I changed that one to. And you can just kind of play with the text and the words and everything until you like the way it looks. And I think that looks good so far. So now I'm just going to select all of these layers and I'm going to actually go ahead and unite these. So we're going to go right here and we're going to unite those. And you do want to unite those, that way it all cuts together. So obviously these are going to cut separate because they're separate, but all of the cursive is going to cut together. The of will cut with the 3, so that way it all stays together. And this I'm actually going to make the glitter gold as well, but then I want to put an offset behind it. So we're just going to click on this right here and go into our offset. And you can either do like a rounded edge or more of like a hard edge there. I'm going to stick with like the rounded edge. I think I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. So you can kind of just drag it for about as much offset as you want it to have. So I think that looks good. So I'm just going to apply that. And I actually do want to use black for that, so I don't need to change the color. But I don't want all these little spaces here empty. I actually want all of this filled in. So what you can do to do that is you go to your offset and then hit contour. And now you're just going to click on each one of those spaces, those empty spaces. Hopefully I was able to get that one. And once you get them all, I can't tell if I got that one or not. No, I didn't. Then go ahead and close out. I probably should have all of these selected, yeah. And that's going to fill those in so that you don't have all those little random cutouts. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this layer so I can group these together. Just that way I can resize and position it exactly where I want it without them coming apart. So those are just going to kind of go right on top of here. And it's a pretty good size actually, but I want to make it a little bit smaller because I want to see a little bit more underneath here of all the glitter in there. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. Oh. I don't want to make sure I'm resizing the whole group. Here we go. I do like where it kind of goes over the edges a little bit for each area, so I'll probably position it that way and leave it large enough that it can go over. But I also still want to see a bunch of this clear area. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I like the way it looks and everything is ready to cut here. So if you go to make it, and we're going to just use the standard mat for this. You really only have a few pieces to cut. It's pretty easy. This one's going to be your piece of clear plastic. And then you've got your black right here, and then your gold, or whatever colors you're using, and your gold glitter. So this is actually pretty easy. These look complicated to make, but you see how simple this really is. And for the plastic, if you've never cut plastic before, there is a setting for plastic. A custom setting. Make sure that you add more pressure if you're using that custom setting. I actually sometimes find it helps to actually use like the poster board setting and add more pressure. That's going to get you a deeper cut with it. So if you're having trouble cutting it with the plastic setting, then go ahead and try the poster board setting. I have a lot more luck with that setting. So let's go ahead and get everything cut out and then I'll show you how you can assemble everything. And if you are using the same gold glitter cardstock, then you do need to make sure that you have a very sticky mat for this. Since that glitter is double slided, it is going to slide if your mat is not that sticky. And if you don't have a sticky mat on hand, then you can just tape the edges down onto your mat using masking tape, and that's going to hold it in place as well. And then once everything is cut out, you're going to start by lining your bottom star with your foam tape. And make sure that you measure the width of your foam tape with the width of that larger star outline. You want to make sure that this star outline is going to completely cover your tape. My tape is just a little too thick, so I'm going to trim it down a little bit before applying it. And if you don't want to have to trim it, then you can either get like a thinner foam tape or make the outline of your star a little larger. And I did leave a link in the video description where you can get a thinner foam tape if you want to go that route. I just went ahead and went with what I already had on hand, which is a 1/4 inch thick in the width. And that was just a little too wide for what I made the star shape, so I'm just trimming it down. It would have been much easier to probably order the thinner foam tape, but hey, I'm using what I have on hand, right? And you will need to trim the pieces to match up with each other along the star shape. And if you cut it wrong, then you can just cut some small pieces to fill it in. So just make sure that there's no gaps where you attach the foam tape. That way your glitter doesn't have any room to escape. And another option, instead of using foam tape, which I often do for shaker toppers as well, is you can duplicate that star layer with the larger outline. So for my project, that's going to be that black star outline. And then cut that duplicate using the craft foam. And then you're just going to glue that craft foam down where I'm applying the foam tape. And this method is really helpful if you're making like heart or circle shapes where it's not as easy to place the foam tape all around it. Once the star is lined, you can hold that star outline on top just to make sure that you don't need to trim any of the pieces where they kind of come in on the edges of the star, because you do want to make sure that all of those pieces are hidden under that star trim. And then go ahead and pull off the paper covering from the sticky part of the tape. And then you're just going to add your glitter and sequins inside. And if you want a solid look where the glitter doesn't really move as much, then just add a lot more to yours. I like for the sequins and glitters to move around when I shake it, but you can add as much or as little as you want for this. And then you're going to attach that clear star shape right on top. And I am adding just a little bit of glue on top of that foam tape just because I want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. The foam tape is probably sticky enough to hold it alone, but I just go ahead and add a little bit anyway. And if you are using the craft foam instead, then you're going to use glue to attach this plastic star down as well. Then you're just going to glue that larger star outline on top and then glue the smaller outline on top of that. And then go ahead and glue your text and the year to your offset layer and glue this to the front of your cake topper. And then you just need to add your stick, and you can either use one down the middle or use two of them, one on each side. So whatever you feel like is going to hold your cake topper the best, then go with that. And I like to glue the sticks down with hot glue because it's going to hold much better and it dries really quick. So that's all there is to it. And you can take these same concepts to create shaker cake toppers for any occasion. And you can use any of the shapes in Cricut Design Space for the base, so you can easily switch it up each time. And if you guys have any questions, make sure to leave those in the comments and I will answer them there. And also make sure to give your graduate a shout out in the comments. It'll let us know who has a child, grandchild, friend, or relative graduating and what year they're graduating. And thank you guys so much for watching. And if you want to see more Cricut craft tutorials, then make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Bye!